Halloween is upon us, and before we hit up complete strangers for some candy, we're going to hit you with some hip-hop and movie news, starting with one of my favorite, if not my favorite, horror movie of all time, The Exorcist. The Exorcist is a classic movie, and William Friedkin's a genius. He recently said in an interview with Hollywood Reporter that it wasn't his intention to make this a horror movie. He said that he thought it really to be more of a mystery of faith type movie. He really wanted to play up that aspect. And also, he isn't a practicing Catholic or anything. I'm not even sure if he believes in God, but as a director, he made sure he made this movie from the perspective of a believer, which I thought was was the most responsible thing to do in order to tell the story he wanted to tell. He also stated that he and Warner Brothers were positive this movie was going to get like an X rating, because back in the day they had X ratings and that meant it was banned. No NC-17s, it was basically G, PG, R, X. So X would have been banned and you couldn't really go see it. But apparently the head of the ratings board at the time saw the movie, loved it, wrote him a note saying, "I love this movie, it's so great, it's getting an R, don't cut a frame from it." So William Friedkin dropping a lot of knowledge on one of my favorite movies as of late, and if you haven't seen it, I suggest you see it, and if you have seen it, I would suggest seeing it again, especially this time of year. Guardians of the Galaxy was a smash hit last year, so obviously they were going to make a sequel, have it involved with the Marvel Universe. So there was talk, there was this open wide search for this female character that no one really knew much about, but they wanted to cast this kick-ass female character, and they finally came out with an actress. It's one that is not very familiar to a lot of people. Her name is Pom Klementieff. She is an actress of Korean, Russian, and French descent. She's Canadian. Hasn't really done too much Hollywood work. She had a role in Spike Lee's remake of Old Boy. So this is going to be like her first, probably like big, high-profile role. It was a mystery role, but it looks like it's going to be the role of Mantis. It is this character who is half Vietnamese and half German, so the fact that she's half white, half Asian will play into it. The character is supposed to be this kick-ass martial arts artist. And I think in the comic books, before she joined the Guardians of the Galaxy, she was a prostitute. I think I read that somewhere. I'm sure Disney will not include that in their story of how she came to be, but maybe they will. But it should be very interesting having another kick-ass female in the Marvel Universe. So congrats to Pom, and hope you knock it out the park. Movie I reviewed this week is The Scout's Guide to the Zombie Apocalypse. Going into this, I knew it was going to be in the same vein as Shaun of the Dead or Zombieland, and that it's a zombie movie. It's also a comedy. It doesn't take itself too seriously and has a lot of scares as well as laughs in it. So I knew going into this movie it wasn't going to be the scariest movie, but hopefully it'd be very entertaining and a lot of fun. I don't know if I'm just getting too old for this type of stuff, but a lot of the humor just wasn't hitting with me. Like, I didn't find it to be that funny. I picked up a little more once the zombies started like attacking, but, and I don't mean to sound like a stickler, a lot of people who watch zombie horror movies will know that there are like certain sets of rules you have to abide by. A lot of times zombies started off just walking, now they can run. I don't mind if zombies can run, but in this movie I felt like there was an inconsistency on whether they can walk or run. That half the time they were chasing and running after them in a full sprint. Half the time they're doing the zombie thing and like just like walking right after them. So it's like I don't know how they need to sort of pick one thing. Can they walk? Can they run? I felt they just kind of flipped it back and forth based on what plot devices they needed to really put forth. So aside from all that, in terms of the writing, I felt a lot of the humor was very sophomoric. Some of it worked, some of it didn't. The acting was fine. I just felt I expected a lot more from this. The idea was great. I thought the actual execution was a little weak. I give it 1 ticket stub out of 3. It was kind of disappointing for me. I'm sure a lot of people will enjoy it. I personally did not really like it. Thank you so much for watching Hip Hop and Movie News, but keep sending in those 15-second submissions. This week's, it comes from Mateak. So I'll leave you with that. Have a very safe and happy Halloween.